You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Attorney General Merrick Garland was in Chicago today meeting with folks there to address the issue of violence. There's been a significant number of shootings taking place in Chicago. The issue is constantly brought up. Too many of our people have been gunned down as a result of the problem there. But the issue, frankly, in Chicago goes far beyond just guns. You're speaking about economics. You're speaking about education. You're speaking about literally a community that's been grossly impacted by poverty. The haves and the have-nots are real in Chicago. Now, the answer, well, the people always have immediately is, okay, let's have step up police patrols. But the problem in Chicago is you also have people who don't trust the police department because, frankly, it's filled with a bunch of thugs and racists. Just last night, 8 people riding on a bus were shot and wounded. That's Chicago's third mass shooting in 6 hours. 6 hours. The city council passed an ordinance to create a community commission for public safety and accountability. The commission serves as a layer of police oversight. It will be made up of 7 members, nominated by 3-member councils of Chicago's police districts and appointed by the mayor. With the help of police and community leaders, Garland and the Justice Department, like I say, are launching strike forces formed to fight the gun violence surge in major cities, including New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, the Bay Area, and Washington, D.C. Joining us right now is T.O. Mr. Ceasefire Hardeman, the Executive Director of Violence Interrupters. He joins us. T.O., glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered, man.
No, it's always an honor to be on your show, brother Roland Martin, always.
So here's the thing. You got all these folks who are running around and the politicians and folks saying what needs to be said. What are the community folks saying needs to be done to stop what is causing the gun violence and how to stop it?
Okay, good question, Brother Roland. This is what's going on. I really like your last guest. He talked about the urgency of now. The elephant in the room is the gun violence that continues to take lives every day in Chicago and the epidemic of shooting all over the place. What's going on is that there is a need right now, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way. There's a need for an African-American, sort of like an army of African-American men to take to the streets of Chicago and mediate these beefs and conflicts with these young brothers in the strongest possible way. And I say an army because it's going to take this type of effort. We continue to look in the wrong directions for solutions. I'm not anti-police, but police cannot solve this issue. It's a cultural issue, Roland. And everybody that's listening to your show and watching your show, they have to understand it's a cultural, tribal issue that's going on. Right now, it's fashionable for people to shoot at crowds of people, at gatherings, shoot when they have mass gatherings. It's also fashionable for some young men to carjack people. Right now in Chicago, we have over 400 homicides so far to date. Over 2,100 people have been shot, and carjackers are back on the rise again. So everybody's talking solution. We're looking in the wrong direction. The police cannot solve this issue. This is an issue that black men must solve. It's the urgency of now, Roland. So that's your solution. That's a solid, fail-proof solution. Imagine 10,000 black men, and women can join as well, but initially the men have to step up and bring these brothers to the table in the strongest way and mediate their conflicts. That's what's going on, Roland.
So who is doing that? When I lived in Chicago, I actually led an effort when I was on WVON radio. We put the call out. 1,000 black men showed up at the House of Hope. You've had Reverend James Meeks, who's also done things in the past. You've had Pastor Corey Brooks, who's done things in the past. So what you're laying out, who is making that call, and are they responding?
Well, it's going to take a little bit more time. Nobody's really making the call. I put information out on several occasions. A lot of people are trying to connect with me now as we talk about it. But this is a bigger type of method when it comes down to really reducing the gun violence. The reason I say this, Roland, because the homicide clearance rate is a dismal, like 13-14% in Chicago. And so to answer your question more directly, I'm in the process of organizing a lot of brothers now, but it's going to take a little time because everybody's busy, and a lot of people have excuses why they do not want to get involved with that type of intensity of dealing with our young brothers on the street. So it's going to take a little time to just be direct with you, Brother Roland.
Well, here's the deal. We were in Chicago just a bit ago doing the show from there. And what if we do this here? What if we actually what if we call? Love to get Faraji and Greg to roll with me. What if we just say? What if we say, hey, we want a brothers only town hall? What if we do it at the House of Hope? It seats 10,000. Now, granted, we can do social distancing, so we can put 5,000 in there and call that and do a massive town hall and have this conversation and talk about how to make it happen.
Yeah, I love it, Roland, and I already have a title for it. We can title it The Ultimate Sacrifice for Peace. This means that African-American men must sacrifice right now, because everybody keeps talking about money, economics. That's important as well, but I'm here to tell you, you can drop $1 billion in the heart of the community right now. If we do not address this issue as a cultural issue, we're still going to have high levels of shootings and killings in Chicago. There are too many people that are hurting. There's a lot of trauma going on. Kids have been shot. Women have been executed. So I'm not just trying to paint a bad picture, but I want to say on the good side, on the positive side, yes, if we organize that town hall session with 5,000, men to come together, and then we strategize and basically deal with this. And after we have that town hall rolling, we have to hit the streets, okay? We have to go out there and meet them guys where they are and bring them brothers to the table. Make sure we enlist their family members to be a part of it with us as well, because all the shooters in Chicago have family members they care about. So they may listen to some of their uncles and their fathers, and then along with the brothers backing up their family members, we can get the job done. But it's going to take a massive effort like this, Brother Roland, a massive effort, seriously.
I don't know I know Illinois has been very hesitant when it came to gatherings. So let us know what the details are about mass gatherings in the state, and then let's go from let's talk about it. And I have no problem at all bringing our cameras there and streaming this to the rest of the country and the world. So let's do it.
And let me say this to you also, Roland. I would love, and I was thinking about you earlier today, I would love to facilitate a peace circle with you and about 20 brothers from the streets, some of the young brothers, so we can have a restorative justice peace circle live with your film crew. I think it would be really great, so we can hear from some of these young guys and some young women on what they think is really going on, what kind of solutions they're thinking about. But overall, the bigger level, like I said, is black men uniting, sort of like an African-American army of brothers, in a good way, not to stand down on the young guys, not to hurt nobody, but to bring them guys together in the strongest possible way. I need everybody to understand this. And my people know what I'm talking about. The strongest possible way. Bring them together, resolve the conflict so people can live instead of die, Brother Roman.
All right, let's do it.
Roland. Sorry. Yes, indeed.
Okay. T.O., we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Always. Thank you.
Faraji, at the end of the day, if we don't actually step up and have an inter-family conversation, then it ain't going to happen.
It ain't going to happen at all. And I'm so happy that you put out that action item, Brother Roland. I personally have worked with a group of black men in Baltimore City called the We Our Us movement. This is a group of black men, and for over nearly 3 years, Brother Roland, we have, in Baltimore City, we've had a violence problem like no other city. And our numbers are crazy right now, unfortunately. But for nearly 3 years, these black men walk through neighborhoods, black men from the Nation of Islam, from the local churches, from organizations, black men. Of course, the sisters have been there, but this is predominantly black men who have been walking through the streets of Baltimore, East Baltimore, West Baltimore, South Baltimore, providing resources, jobs, opportunities, but most importantly, Brother Roland, providing hope. And I have gone along with them to be a part of these walks. So there is a model. There is a model. And I'm going to tell you that this type of work, like Brother T.O. is looking to do, can be done. It just needs to have a model. In Baltimore, we have a model. We're still dealing with it because violence is still entrenched in the culture of Baltimore City. But there is a model. There's a group of folks that I know we can connect with. And like you said, Brother Roland, we can bring people together. Let's go to Chicago. Let's try to implement or set up an infrastructure of peace. And then let me just add this, that we can bring the next generation of young black men. I'm talking 13, 14, 15. And this helps them to get to growing through that rites of passage of manhood, where they can come out and see their fathers, their uncles, their grandfathers walk in the streets, go into places where the police don't respond too well, going into places to offer resources and jobs and other opportunities, but most importantly, going into places without guns, without any type of any type of weapon, but just going in there with the heart, the mind, and the spirit to create peace. And I know it. I'm a part of the Nation of Islam. I've seen this with my own eyes. This is what can be done. We can do it in Baltimore. We can certainly do it in Chicago. So I'm ready for it. I would love to be a part of that trip.
Greg Carr.
Oh, I agree. I mean, you do what you can where you can, and we've all seen these very effective local strategies. And I want to say this, though. This is where I'm not at a loss. I just know, I think we have to think about the models if we're going to actually achieve what we ultimately want, which is a safe, secure, grounded community wherever we are. And I think, it's a difficult thing because, again, Amisha, this is your hometown. And you know this better than any of us. Let's tie these two things what we just saw today. I was watching the live stream earlier, and my man Wes Bellamy, when it came time to arrest people, he backed up off the line and he said something. He said, "Yeah, I already went to jail," and everybody kind of laughed. But I laughed because he was out there with the sisters.
Yeah, he got arrested last week.
That's exactly right, and I'm saying that to make a point. I understand the gendered approach. But I also understand that African people were brought into this patriarchy, this white male patriarchy, field of violence, this settler colonial project called the United States. And many times our solutions have taken on some of the worst cultural habits of these other people. And so I absolutely get the male on male, the female on female, but I'm thinking now about the fact that, we have to ask ourselves, what is the source? What are the sources of even resolving these things?
Right.
The source of resolving this violence is community. And it has to be full spectrum. We all remember the Nation of Islam. Brother Faraj, you remember this, man, back in the 80s and 90s, the dope busters going into, you understand that? And we also understand that when we start talking about solutions, I want to be in a circle where Amisha, who's from Chicago, we got woman, man, woman, man, woman, man. We in the community, we got intergenerational, and we do more listening than talking, like Tio said, who has a master's degree at the Center from the Center for Inner City Studies. One of my jegnas, the great Jacob Carruthers and Conrad Worrell and them. We know that to sustain this is the last thing I'll say, to sustain a solution, you got to put down the gun for sure. And Faraj, you're right, man. The first thing is don't kill nobody else. Stop the killing, as fair kind you say, right? Now, if we can get a moment on that, that's when we look at these elected officials. I don't care whether it's Danny Davis or Bobby Rush or whoever, because we know Merrick Garland. Shout out to Merrick Garland. You won't go after Wilbur Ross or any Trump bad guys. You got 4,500 tips on I love Beer Kavanaugh. You ain't going to do that, but you're going to fly out to Chicago and have a conversation about more police. No, more police. No, what we need is money for jobs and an economic uplift, money for an education system, money for our cultural institutions, and public safety in ways that bring people into the space. Because while you talk about Real Housewives and all this other stuff, you got people lined up watching Chicago PD, Law and Order.
Come on, John. Come on.
Do you understand? This whole world system that the West introduced is based on violence. We're not going to solve it by talking people out of violence without addressing the cultural issue, as Tio said. But the cultural issue ain't about men and women. The cultural issue is about community, and we got to think through that, be serious about it. Otherwise, there'll be momentary lulls. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely right, Amisha. And the thing is, there is something else that is happening, and if you don't confront what that root cause is, then this thing sort of just goes on and on.
No, you're right. And Chicago is my hometown, so it is the blood that runs through me. At the end of the day, and as someone who has worked with T.O. Hardeman, I've known him for the past 15 years at least. When I look back on my city, the recognition has to be what it always should have been. Chicago has over 78% of Chicago public school students that are currently housing unstable. They are currently listed as homeless. 78% is the largest homeless rate of any student group in the country. With that, you also have the largest unemployment rate of Black men in the country. You also have the high level of eviction that is about to start within the next 2 weeks. You have such low wages and people who have been begging for a living wage for the past 3-4 decades before Fight for 15 even had a name. When I talk about Chicago, when I talk about the plight of the Black communities across Chicago, we also have to think about the divestment that those communities have seen for decades. We have to think about the movement of money from those blighted communities to enrich the downtown area, to enrich the north side, and the consistency that that has been done in. The fact that a strike force isn't going to help Chicago, I'm actually upset that it's happening. Chicago has had a strike force for generations now. It makes me think of Anna Jett Young, the young woman whose home was raided by police officers while she's standing there naked when they were in the wrong home, and a police cover-up and a mayor cover-up to ensure that those police officers in that police department wasn't held accountable. When I think of all of the lawsuits and the taxpayer dollars that have gone to the rings of billions of dollars to pay in those lawsuits that are specifically utilized instead of actually enriching police reforms that have been pushed by a lot of people across Black communities across the city forever at this point. It is an issue that we know how to solve. Economic development, and economic development that includes uplift, skills-based training, bringing jobs to the South and the West sides, ensuring housing, safety, and security, replacing the mental health institutions that were shut down over Rahm Emanuel's administration, ensuring that there are schools that are actually teaching our kids instead of just housing them there and then them leaving without a single skill to speak of. I think that at this point, Chicago is at a crux moment where something has to change. And that something is not putting more police officers on the streets. That something is investing in organizations like T.O. Hardeman's that has been doing this work for years, but is seeing their funding diminished by the state, at least for the past 8. And consistently, we see community organizations that do the work on the ground. Chicago is a city with a motto: we don't want nobody sent. Chicago has a lot of assets right in the city itself. Community organizations led by Black men and women that do the work, but have been defunded to the point of a skeleton base at this point. So I love the idea of bringing people in and elevating the issue. But to be quite frank, the news has elevated the hell out of violence in Chicago forever. What they have not done is help to ensure that the impact is happening, help to ensure that those families that have been going through trauma actually have some level of relief, help to ensure that the illegal guns that continue to get funneled in from nearby states actually stop. What I want to see is those social services, wraparound services that our kids in the city need so much actually be invested in, that our housing and our infrastructure is taken care of in the city, and that young Black kids on the South and the West sides don't have to look down the street and see dead bodies that lay every single day and consider that normal, because it's not.
Well, y'all know I don't waste any time when it comes to these things. And I've already talked to my man, Pastor James Meeks, who said he's willing to host this town hall. We were just texting. And so, T.O., you'll be hearing from me right after the show. So, yeah, I told y'all.
Let's not waste no time.
I told y'all we don't play here, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.